There are a lot of road projects coming online in Dorchester County. Today, I talk one-on-one with Dorchester County Councilman Eddie Crosby for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Eddie Crosby, welcome to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you, Quintin. I appreciate it, brother. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, I appreciate it too, Councilman. I know obviously you are a Dorchester County Councilman, actually serving the District 5 area. So tell me, Councilman Crosby, what's new, what's now in District 5 in Dorchester County?
Oh, goodness. Lots of things going on for sure. One of the most exciting, which isn't really new, but just that cuts right through the heart of District 5 would be the completion of the Berlin G. Myers 3 Parkway, which has just been outstanding for our citizens. And again, there's still a lot of work to do. Secondly, we need to finish the Maple Street extension and the Nexton Parkway. And then we've got an upcoming meeting for Parsons Road and Central Avenue for the expansion there, making that 3 lanes. And then the final linchpin to that, Quintin, is going to be the huge lift for the Orangeburg Loop to really help complete that bypass of downtown Somerville to move traffic more freely. To ease some of that congestion, all the while continuing to work on some of those other road projects, patching, expansion. But those 4 pieces in particular are going to be massive as the dominoes continue to fall into place after the Berlin Myers. So super excited about all those projects because literally, all of those roads hit or touch or dissect District 5 for sure.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I want to touch on some of those in just a minute, Councilman. But obviously, you mentioned something that's
Sure.
Obviously relevant. But obviously, the Dorchester County is inviting residents to come out to the public meeting, and that's coming up tomorrow on the latest on the Central Avenue and Parson Roads improvement, which is a part of the transportation sales tax program. So let me ask you this, Dan. What are the proposed the designs for this, and what are the proposed timelines for this project?
So certainly, as always, community feedback is paramount. And there are 3 or 4 different designs that will be presented tomorrow night. And I would encourage any and all citizens, whether you live in District 5 or whichever district, any citizen of Dorchester County, this would be relevant and pertinent information for sure. But for certain, primarily adding sidewalks, 3 lanes versus 4, potentially even 5. Probably the most economical and the most realistic, Quintin, would be the 3 lanes, meaning that you have that turn lane in the middle. You've got wider lanes on either side, plus a shoulder and sidewalks, plus a bike lane. So that seems to be the most popular right now, because if you do 4 lanes or if you would do 5, you're talking about a significant increase in price and timeline in terms of completion, start and completion. But again, want to hear from the public for sure, because it's not always about adding more lanes or, more roads, but also how can we help take more cars off the road? And by doing that with the bike lanes and the sidewalks and the increased shoulder for more pedestrian friendly access, I think is huge for sure.
For sure. So if you were to add any more of those, components to this particular project, how much would that price go up to?
Gosh, unfortunately, as you and I both know, every day that passes, it gets more expensive. So the sooner we can get these plans and the approval from the public and support from the public, the quicker we can move. Because, you asked about a start date. Certainly, we would like to start this Central Parsons project in the fall is the goal. Late fall or even first of the new year, with a timeline completion date of 27, fall of 27, spring of 28 is ideal. Yes.
So you talk about those sidewalks, Councilman. So how many sidewalks do you want to add in this particular project, or do you hope to have in this project?
Well, all the proposals have that sidewalk interconnectability, which ultimately we're working with the town of Somerville as well. One of the extensions that we made to the sidewalk project is right along Central from Parsons back towards Somerville Baptist, working with the town of Somerville on that. But again, trying to make sure that we add these sidewalks so that it is pedestrian friendly and safer, right? So safety is paramount. So it's more accessible for folks to walk around, get around, and not sit in traffic. And for the health and wellness of the community, right? To make it more livable and, improve and increase the quality of life. And that's so ideally what we're looking to accomplish, not only with the road projects, but then, as you well know, with the additional penny continuation, the Greenbelt funds. So ultimately, with the big picture, big vision idea is to have our trail system connect like with the sawmill, with our parks and libraries and roads and, shops and retail, restaurant. Again, with the idea that if folks choose to get on their bikes or walk or run, or get on their electric scooters, they have an opportunity to do that.
Oh, yes. And just a week ago, Councilman, I left my house here where I live in North Charleston and ran all the way out to Westcott. And there's nothing but sidewalks out there by Patriot Boulevard. So that's just amazing. But let me ask you, what about Orangeburg Road between Boone Hill and Central?
Yeah, so Boone Hill and Central. Well, let me back it up from Dorchester to Boone Hill, actually. So that community, Red Bank, I can't remember the name. It slips me at the moment. But ironically enough, one of my best friends growing up in Somerville, Roderick Samuels, he's a barber now. He lives in Detroit, but his dad and that community, growing up there, I was just around the corner in the Oakdale community on Forest Circle. So that means a lot to me. And I've heard a lot about what it means to those folks as well, to say, hey, Eddie, look, we'd like to possibly put in a proposal to have it 3 lanes from Dorchester to Boone Hill because of the impact of our family land and heritage in this community. And I said, hey, that's great. I'm not opposed to that. And that kind of feedback we had at town hall with Mr. Jason Ward, the county administrator, and the community at the little church right there off of Orangeburg. And the name slips me at the moment, Quintin. But that was one of the proposals from the community because otherwise it would cut into their heirs' property and really, it would make a major impact on the land and the community there. So from that area from Boone Hill to Mallard, even, that's more of the proposal for the 4 and the 5 lanes, because moving that traffic out of Knightsville, and more importantly, you think about health or safety and hurricanes, and that would be an evacuation route, and quickly make that turn on Mallard, because Berkeley County is going to meet with us at the county line because they're going to bring it 5 lanes from the interstate to us. So we want to do the same thing and be good neighbors and good partners there for sure.
For sure. Now I'm probably being antiquated with this particular question, Councilman, but with those addition of those 4 or 5 lanes in those other areas, is that a part of the transportation sales tax as well?
It is. Okay. It is. Yes, sir. That's right. That's right. And again, we would certainly get more community input on that as well, because of the impacts of those homes and neighborhoods along Orangeburg. and even schools, right? You've got the schools and businesses as well. So we would certainly want, but that's a little further down the road. I think we're probably at least a year and a half from, I would wish it were sooner, but we've got some of these other ancillary roads and major arteries like, the North Maple next in, and then of course, like we already mentioned, Central and Parsons.
I have to go off topic for just a second, Councilman, but people keep asking me this
No,
all
man.
the time.
Please.
But you talk about next, and that particular area is growing by the bounds every day. Is that part of Dorchester County, or is that part of Berkeley County?
Yeah, I wish it is. It is Berkeley. Now it's a part of the incorporated town of Somerville up until you get to like the Starbucks right there, Quintin,
Yes.
on 17A North
Right.
Main Street.
Right.
But we're actually headed into a meeting here in a few minutes. Talking about how we can help and partner with the town of Somerville to grow and expand. That new Inner Four site, the old sawmill plant right there on North Maple, is coming up, and we would love to partner with the town to do something there to help it grow down West Richardson into that new front porch of downtown Somerville, so to speak. Be a central hub for new restaurant, retail, residential development, to really usher in a new golden era into the town of Somerville and Dorchester County for sure. But there's still, that's probably a bit premature because there's a lot of conversations and meetings that would need to take place. And, we're working with the town of Somerville as we speak again, at 500 North Main as a project, and how that would be, a benefit for our community to help increase the retail, restaurant, commercial, business traffic and flow to be competitive with Nexon and to be competitive with Berkeley County and Goose Creek and the city of North Charleston, because they're all doing great things. And, we want to make sure that we're, on the front foot, and making sure, again, in a healthy competition, that we're providing the quality of living and life for all of our citizens in the Low Country.
I knew you have to run off to this meeting, but I want to actually three more questions, Councilman, in regards to obviously Berlin G. Myers. But going back to that project that you all want to have to collaborate, obviously, with the town of Somerville, that will connect you all to downtown Somerville, for instance. What exactly do you want from the developers?
So from the developers, I mean, any and all these types of meetings is, collaboration, communication, and a willingness to partner, right? And I do believe that these folks are certainly interested in doing that because, Quintin, to be quite candid, I mean, it is zoned for industrial. And you could put a big box there, and that would be probably the quickest. And of course, the tax revenue generated from that, for the schools and for other things would be great. But then you also have fee in lieu of tax. So it's a balancing act, right? But then at the same time, is that the best use of that space and that property for the town, for the county, for our community? And so right now, that's the discussions we're having with the developer, and they're open to that. So yeah, I think that having that open, candid, transparent conversation is a great start.
I have two questions for you, and I don't know if this is relevant, but would you all be willing to rezone that from industrial to mixed use?
Well, certainly that is currently in the town. That would be something that they would have to do, and town council would have to consider that. I think that pending the right development plan, master plan, certainly we could get behind that and support that. But again, it would have to be good for everybody, and the impact being something positive. But ultimately, that would be a decision for the town council and the mayor.
What exactly is the master plan for that particular area, and particularly in downtown Somerville?
So right now that we are literally on the front foot on the cusp of this, Quentin. As you know, that sawmill plant, and of course, not going into too much, but right now
Right.
the timber industry, they have more supply than they do demand across
Mm.
South Carolina and across the nation. And you see some of these plants, IP up in Georgetown,
Oh,
right?
yes.
And then sadly, some of these plants are closing. However, that was more background information you probably want to know. But right now, we are gathering input and plans, just some, having some folks draw out some schematics of like, if you could dream, wish big, right? What would that be? And I think, there's been ideas about a sports complex and, with it, the perimeter with a few boutique hotels and restaurant and retail and, multifamily, because you're talking about 60 acres on either side, 40 on the railroad side,
Right.
but then having rail access to Charleston from this being a hub and, from Somerville to Charleston or even St. George to Somerville to
Yes.
Charleston. I mean, there's so many cool ideas. And really look at our partners around the state, what the municipality in Greenville,
Yes.
or Spartanburg or, um, North Augusta, what
Oh,
they've
yeah.
done with the riverfront, or all these different folks that are doing great things and in collaboration. So that's kind of where we are in the, initial discussion phases and how can we work together to make this dream and vision a reality?
Would Dorchester County be willing to adopt or even create some sort of TIF district?
Yes. Yeah, that could be because right now I think it currently goes to a where the current Midtown TIF is, Quentin. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it is contiguous to that. So we would have to work with the town to do another one of those because that certainly could be an option to help us get the funding to do, that project and to basically acquire the land
Mm.
so we could have control over, versus it going, to the highest bidder for a developer to put another industrial site there in big box, right?
Yes, sir. Okay, let me ask you this then. When will the RFP goes out?
Oh man. So I think, we are again, this is just all kind of since that plant closed, this is all kind of really expedited in in the past few weeks.
Mm.
I'm not sure, as far as that would go. I mean, we've still got some negotiations, certainly with the county and the town and the owner, which Rock, let's see, the entity of West Vaco that owned
Oh, yeah.
the property. I forgot the name of their DBA, but I would say, best case, Quentin, I would love to see something go out for bid in the next 6 to 8 months. And that means that we are moving in the right direction in terms of the councils and the community and the developer. And, hey, this is exciting. This is what we want. This could be, uh, just an absolute, I mean, not a home run, but a grand slam, Quentin, for this community in this town. But, realistically, I would say 10 to 12 months, but it all depends on how well the negotiations and the communications go in these meetings.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I know you have to run to the meeting, so just let me know, and I'll get you off. But going back to the Berlin G. Myers Parkway, I know obviously it just opened, and obviously there's some things that you all probably need to tweak from a transportation standpoint. But are there any speed limit signs out there on the parkway?
They are I know I've seen some for sure. But there are more signs coming up as we speak. Because that was a few questions that the citizens brought to my attention in District 5 specifically.
Wow. Now, okay. Will this, as a result of this expansion, do you see this making a mess of Boone Hill going to and from Central Avenue?
Second.
Oh, no worries.
I'm
no
sorry. I
worries.
was sitting here in the parking lot. Mr. David Chinnis walked
yes.
up and said hello. He didn't realize I was on. So
Okay.
I put it on mute for a second. Say one more time, Quintin.
No worries. Now that the expansion
The
has been,
question?
yes, sir. Now that the expansion has been completed, do you believe, and how could the county make sure that this does not make a mess of Boone Hill going to and from Central Avenue?
Not make a mess of Boone Hill going to Central Avenue.
To and from.
You know, to and from. So from the Berlin Myers, I'm imagining whether you're coming from town or whether you're coming from the Ponds or Walterboro, right? And you're turning towards Boone Hill,
Yes,
right? I can attest because I go that way. I'm going to Walterboro pretty much weekly, certainly every other weekend. I can say that firsthand right now, it has alleviated that traffic off of 17A or Boone Hill Road tremendously. It's been a tremendous help. But again, some of the other things that will help with that as we work with that Orangeburg Road widening project, right? And then the other projects that we previously discussed, and as far as North Maple and Nexton, as well as Parsons and Central, will again help bypass that main artery, which is what we're trying to do to take traffic off of Main Street, North Main Street, which would, I guess, would be South Main Street, headed towards that Boone Hill Road area as well. But there's also, too, there is a new intersection planned in front of the Boone Hill United Methodist Church. I know that's coming online, too, right there where, you're coming off of Tepper Drive, and that's going to help as far as safety and security too, Quintin. I almost forgot about that. But that's on the books as for that intersection improvement as well. Before you get to Somerville High School, if you're coming from town, or if you're coming from the Ponds or the Walterboro area coming into, and you pass Somerville High School, you know what I'm talking about, right there where it's like you coming out of the cemetery. It's almost like you pull into the middle of the road.
Right.
And there's a barbershop or something sitting right there in the fork. They're going to make that into a proper interchange with a light and everything. So that's going to be really nice as well.
I don't know if this works in Somerville or Dorchester County for certain, but will you all think about incorporating some traffic circles?
Oh, man. Now, traffic circles were a little before my time. I know my colleagues got beat up about the one in Knightsville, but
it works really well.
Mr. Chinnis is here. He said that works really well.
It works.
All the people that screamed and complained about that when we were doing it, and now came back and said, "Oh,
it's a good thing I asked the question.
Yeah.
See?
So, Quintin, to be the short answer of that, we would, certainly consider it, but it's not that I'm aware of. There aren't any on the plans or on the table for traffic circles. It's worked great. It's provided a much needed service to alleviate some of that congestion in the Knightsville.
17A is a traffic circle.
Oh,
Central and 17A, the DOT has a traffic circle plan.
Did you hear that? Central and 17A. So that's exciting. DOT has a traffic circle plan. I didn't know that. So glad Mr. Chinnis joined me for the
impromptu
interview. Yeah. This dude is a wealth of knowledge. If I don't know something, I always pick up the phone and call Mr. Chinnis and say, "Hey man, I haven't heard. Do you know XYZ?" And 9 times out of 10, the expertise and experience, he'll say, yeah.
Don't ask me to remember your name. That's the guy.
Yeah, he's like, just don't ask to remember your name. But
Right.
Quintin, I've got to jump into this meeting,
sir.
brother.
Yes, sir.
Do you have
Thank you.
anything else?
Oh, that's it. I know you have to run to the meetings, but yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, but thank you for your time, Councilman Eddie
Well,
Crosby.
Yeah, happy to sit down with you anytime. Give me a call. And, Mr. Chinnis said, if you've got any questions, feel free to give him a call anytime as well.
Oh, yes. I'm hoping to get him on Quintin's post up soon, too. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, hey, man, I've thoroughly enjoyed this. Look forward to the next conversation. Let's do it again.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your time on Quintin's Close-Ups.